Fundamentals and principles of finance. First of all, the more you know about finance, the more knowledge you will have to make efficient use of your resource. The field of finance is intimately linked with two ancient disciplines, such as economic and accounting. The economic contributes knowledge for risk analysis, price theories based on supplies and demand, and the company relations with banks, consumers, capital markets, the central bank, and other economic agents. Finance is tied to the economy by the principle of scarcity. All of us, in one way or another, manage scarce resources, as for example, when a financial executive has a limited amount of money and should give him the best use, selecting the investment opportunities that create greater value for the shareholder. The relationship with accounting is established because it is providing data about the economic financial health of the economy or the company through the financial statements. Finance is the nexus between economics and accounting, as they connect economic theory with figures provided by financial statements. The objective of finance. Finance represents that branch of economic science that deals with everything concerning value. They deal with how to make the best decisions to increase shareholder wealth, that is, the value of their shares. At the business level, the financial executive should normally take two types of basic decisions. One of them is the investment decision that is related to the purchase of assets, and financing decisions that link to obtaining the necessary funds for the purchase of such assets. Why should not the goal be to maximize profit? There are two main reasons for not using profit maximization as an operational objective. First, the term earnings means different things depending on the case. Second, profits ignore the time value of money and the risks taken to obtain them. These two aspects are summarized in the cost of capital. An investment can increase profits in its different measures, but can nevertheless destroy value when the cost of capital is taken into account. Maximizing shareholder wealth is also good for all economic agents. For example, accepting a project whose performance is less than the cost of resource to carry it out has a more serious consequence than just eroding shareholder wealth. The objective of maximizing shareholder wealth is justifiable, mainly because it also promotes well-being for the whole as employees, suppliers, customers, government, and not just for shareholders. It should be remembered that the shareholder then has charged the rest of the economic agents who maintain relations with the company as shown in this image. Areas of the finance executive performs. There are three areas like corporate finance, financial investment, and capital markets. The corporate finance and financial management. The main financial decisions can be classified into three categories: investment decisions, financing decisions, and dividend policy decisions. The investment decisions, they deal mainly with the assets the firm must buy, respecting the principle that the value of these should always be greater than its cost to increase the value of the firm. Financing decisions determine how the firm finances investment decisions. Basically, this includes the right side of the balance sheet, how the firm gets money through debt or equity. The dividend policy decisions appear related to the distribution of the profits of the firm. Companies sometimes share a percentage of the earnings as cash dividends, although there is often no defined policy in this regard. They also appear related to the way in which the market collects the news of a distribution of dividends and the expectations that are created from such decisions. In summary, the image it can be noticed that short-term financial management is more linked to day-to-day decisions and to more operational functions, while corporate finance appears reserved for long-term planning, such as major investment projects and major financing decisions. The other category is financial investments. It is the one where transactions are carried out for the account and order of a third party who does not belong to the organization, but is a customer of this one. For example, an investment analyst at a bank evaluates investment in securities, such as bonds or shares of a company for the money that the institution employs. The last category is capital markets. It is the area where a series of financial instruments, generally called securities, are traded. These markets can operate without physical contact, through electronic transfers, telephones, or fax. Visions of the company. The visions of the investment mechanisms. It shows how investors who are surplus units connect with the company through the capital market. Three areas are then created. Investments that are the financial analysts act, which evaluate purchase of securities such as bonds or shares of a company. Capital markets, basic intermediaries. Corporate finance, where financial leads must make better investment decisions and financing to create value for shareholders. The visions of accounting model. The advantage of the accounting model is that it allows to appreciate the highly integrated information, showing how all the pieces fit together. It also facilitates communication, as accounting models are widely known. However, for some reasons, the accounting model itself is insufficient information for decision making. The visions of the set of contracts. This view shows the firm as a set of explicit and implicit contracts between the latter and the economic agents with whom it has relations.
Well, guys, what is the role of financial statements in executive finance? It is a document that summarizes the economic financial information of the company and meets only one requirement. Accounting gives a different touch to the same data from financial statements, while the public accountant focuses his attention on the way in which these are prepared. The finance executive should be able to use information effectively. After reading the chapter, you should be able to understand the main financial statements, such as balance sheet, income statements, and cash flow, and understand their intermediaries. Recognize the limitation of accounting information and how to mitigate them. Recognize the benefits of a good tax approach. So, let's start to the economic status or results. The income statement represents the whole calculation of losses and profits from companies organized in the front of joint stock companies of one-man firms. The difference between sales and the cost of goods sold is called gross profit. In the case of telecom, we see that the gross profit represents almost half of the sales. By subtracting these, basically administrative salaries, office expenses, etc., and marketing expenses, this is basically commissions from sellers or freight transport to the merchandise. The EBIT is important into the finances. Let's show. The EBIT is arguably the most important area in the income statement, as it represents the result of the firm's assets, regardless of how it has been financed. So, continue to the financial results. Financial results are normally broken down into liabilities and generated by assets, both comprising mainly interest, exchange difference, price difference, and holding results and adjustment for inflation. So you have never forget that the income statement does not represent a cash flow, since it follows the accrual criterion. EBIT is undoubtedly the most important category of results in a company. The operation of the company involves a series of costs and expenses to obtain the final result. Other income and expenses are the most income or the expenses that do not have a specific classification, within which we have seen as administrative, commercial, or financial expenses, such as result may come from different activities or corporation, not necessarily ordinary. Extraordinary income refers to extraordinary income or expenses such as the sale of a fixed asset, personal indemnity, etc. The last one is taxes on profits or of companies. For example, if the company shows profits after having been all concepts, it will have to pay the corporation tax. And the CMV and commercial administrative expenses. Selling goods or service generate costs. The first is the cost of goods sold, which represents the cost of the merchandise.
Net profit is understood to be resultant profit after extracting and adding operating income, expressed and not operating income, respectively, taxes and the legal reserve. Finance results are divided into liabilities and generated by assets, both of which comprise mining instruments, exchange rate, results, and adjustment. Other income and expenses are thus income or expenses that do not have a specific classification, within which we have seen as administrative, commercial, or final expenses. The balance sheet is report the acquired position of a firm at a given time. The balance are present annually and in the case of leasing components or a quality basis. For a component, that use begin the package of assets and libraries that make up one simple concept of money in the uncle and current stock. Active. Active is a good that the company owns and can be converted into money or other equity. Liquid means the assets that a company owns are classified depending on their liquidity, that is the ease with which that asset can be converted into money. Fixed assets. They are assets used in the business and not acquired for sales purpose. Current assets. They are assets that are expensed to be used in less than a year, such as inventories. Passive. The liability consists of the debt will by the company, recorded in the balance sheet, and includes the company's current obligation arising from past financial transactions. The account liability is classified according to X in time, that is to say how much time they take in conquering this obligation. Long-term, short-term. Long-term materials over a period of more than a year. Short-term materials in less than 1 year. The assets of a person or company are made up of property, vehicles, machinery, cash, etc. For example, a lustrum of a decision has struck strongly the family patrimony. The governor asserts that his patrimony only consists of a house and an automobile. Con-action. They represent the real property of the company, as it is the common shareholder who make the capital contribution, assuming the risk of the business. Stop-up. To maximize their wealth in order to have a better valuation of price and dividends. Favorite stops. Favorite stop. They represent an intermediate point between the common share and preferred shares that is consistent of a fixed dividend. Just as the bet, therefore, has a preference over the asset. Is cash or cumulative liquidation granted to its owner preferential dividends constitute a fixed obligation. Retaining earnings. The free retained reform reserves under expected profit when it distributes dividend in share. The balance of retained earnings reflects a keep of current account of the company over time. Growth is the component. The component self-retaining is stealthy and decrease if pays cash dividends. In general, younger companies tend to show a smaller share of retained earnings is the composition of net worth. Working capital. The working capital is defined as the difference between current assets and short-term liabilities. In the same way that the company gives credit to its customer for its sales when it purchases inventory, it on-time funding from its suppliers. When sales grow, three items increase spontaneously. Icon resemble inventories and commercial debt. What is normal is that this inscribed assets, except in the case In the case of companies that have a long-term paying to suppliers.
Credits by sales. The commercial credit is used by the companies to facilitate the sales of his products and, in general, his ease of payment. It works like an incentive, but this rule can be unconvertible. Therefore, it results important to make an analysis of the half period of collections. See if there are delinquent debtors and any another factor that can diminish the potential credit. Some of these situations appear mentioned in the notes, but other times do not make the corresponding forecast not to worsen the balance. Methods of depreciation. The companies use active fixed like a plant or a machinery to produce goods. These active lose value with the use and the step of the time, or by technological obsolescence. This declination of his value is a cost of production and, therefore, has to be reflected in the state of results. As we have said previously, the public counters use several methods to reflect this depreciation, with the object to deliver the cost of the well along what considers his useful life. Still, when the signature uses data provided by the engineers of production, the difference between the economic depreciation and the countable depreciation can be big, particularly in companies that operate with big technology, where the tax of obsolescence is very high. In general, the methods that pose as depreciation accelerate punish the results of the first years, with the consequent saving of taxes. Also, if the future the results go to be higher and finish paying afterwards, the taxes that save at the beginning will see that it always is better pay later than earlier. The election of the method of depreciation affects by double gain to the financial states, since it reflects in the balance from the effect on the value of the goods of use and also by the share to results. Cost of investigation and development. A lot of companies consider the cost of investigation and development and the cost of advertising like a cost inside the period in which it incurred in them. However, many times these costs resemble more to an investment than to a true cost. A cost in advertising makes with the object to generate future sales. The investigation makes with the aim to develop a new product. In both cases, there is a return associated in expense today with the object to collect more money tomorrow. Think, for example, in development of a new drug or of a new program of computation. Before his launching, will invest years of investigation. The potential contribution of the cost of investigation exhausted in these years. The common sense says us another thing. The principle of the markets of efficient capital says of the investors pay in the long run what costs the active. Inflation. Every time that the inflation shows his horrible hit, and the countries South American have coexisted during long periods with her, begin the complication to show the real results and the financial position of the company. Although these distortions have mitigated from hoods then by inflation, These do not reflect the true impact of the inflation in the company, due to the fact that in the financial states the operations register in monetary units in the dates in that they make add coins with different purchasing power. The inflation distorts so much the blush of the general balance, like the ones of the state of results, the greater distortion produced in the active fixed. Sometimes the inflation plays in favor. For example, if the passive of the company of transports was constituted in his elder splits in the national coin, without any clause of ahoots, this would be inevitably like fire. Satisfy happens the time. On the other hand, it's imagine a signature that keeps relaxed condition of commercial credit for encourage his sale. It's supposed that it sells to 60 days. If the inflation in the period is of 10%, only will recover roughly 90% of what sold. From the point of view of the state of results in a country where the inflation is of 20% annual, the figures of sales contain the price of the goods that sold in the first month of the year lower and the price of the last month higher. The same occurs with the operative cost, and by addition, the EBIT of the exercise of closing will not answer to the EBIT current of the company. By the it is that we repeat the analysis has to be as a detective when it examines the financial states. The valuation of the coin. Another powerful factor of distortion find it is those countries that have devalued his coin. This type of measure is used to cause damage in the balance due to the fact that the strong devaluation takes place in short periods. The transfers of income are used to be fair. For example, a company that exports the greater part of his production and besides has all his debt in national coin will be, in principle, extremely benefit with the devaluation, but it will occur the contrary with an importing or with a company that has his debt in foreign currency. In fact, there will be a result by exhibition to the valuation that will affect so much to the active account for earning inventories as to the passive accounts for paying financial debts and of course to the results. The key is to know read the financial states. Already we have said that the balance represents a photo of the situation patrimonial of the company in a moment determined, and that the state of result is like a film of video. Also, we said that they are historical and that the alternative countable practice do that so much the balance like the results reflect an option cost in several possible.
Transfer of quebrantos. The quebrantos originating an exercise only can deduce in any of the 5 physical periods that follow him. By what if it passes with lapses and deduction is not possible? This lose for the company. Differences between the countable balance and the fiscal balance. For the preparation of the countable balance, have to respect the models and the principle of the application established by the legal and professional norms. By his part, the commonly designated fiscal balance constitutes an ideal construction whose base are the countable states. Both results comprehensive in a determined period of the same operation made by the company. However, substantial difference in his construction that do that the final result of the same exercise was different. This does that the effective tax of the tax, that gain subject accounted to taxes, was different of the legal tax of the tax. Some example: transitory difference, amortization accelerated of the goods of use, differences in the criteria of valuation, limitation in positives to the computation of costs, permanent differences, exemptions or degradations, limitation to the deduction of costs, difference in the attribution of result to an exercise, and some incomes of foreign sources. And finally, to summarize the idea, the financial decision always are surrounded of taxes. The commonly designated balance in positive or public precursor constitutes an ideal construction whose base are the countable states. The balance in positive comprises the same operation for a determined period, but the final result of the same exercise present difference regarding to the countable balance. These differences are answer the methods of valuation, limitation to the deduction of determined cost, etc. that can describe like terms or definite. In some cases, the effect in positive of the financial decisions can have a dramatic impact in the value. Thanks.